Sunday, the 17th of December 2023. This is the 191th episode of This and That and what the fuck else. I look at those numbers and I shake my head. It's a lot of information that I have shared over the past 18 months, and I am satisfied. It is clear that people are hungry for truth and for facts, and they're sick and tired of all the bullshit. And sometimes the truth is painful. But before we start, let's go to Russia. The autumn and fall in the Urals. Admire wonderful landscapes on the borderline between Europe and Asia. Photos by Klafik Tue. And he says, I love Russia. Enjoy. Wow, it's spectacular, and there's so much there that reminds me of South Africa. I look at the vineyards and things like that, but it's a beautiful country. Now, yesterday was the day of the covenant, and I am actually quite proud to see that the numbers of people that has participated is growing tremendously. And yeah, here and there were some of those gatherings that really did not stick to what the day was actually for, but it's still a choice, a cultural choice of how you will spend that day. And I see this image and I have to share it. It's in Afrikaans. Dit is nie die oorlogstuig wat ons lot sal beslis nie, maar die beginselvasheid in ons harte. And that is so true. It's not the war machines. It is the resolve and commitment of the people that win wars. And then we get to this joke, and many must have seen it. I'm just going to give you a reminder. Breaking news, the leader of the controversial party of delinquents, Julius Malema, has come out as whatever in solidarity with Barack Obama, who has been recently outed. Well, read it, look at it, think about it, just smile. And more from Julius. Anti-Semitism is hatred, prejudice or hostility towards the Jews. Some of our biggest financial donors are Jewish and we love them. Okay. And he was the guy that put the motion before Parliament to cut ties with Israel. Sometimes I just have to shake my head. And more. And Malema said, let the white economy collapse. Let the white economy collapse. And Mzwandile Masina, he tweeted, I fully agree with my friend on this one. We nationalize all commanding heights, need to restart this economy and make a majority. Things can't be the same, can't be sane again. And I read that shit and I just think, he wants to restart the economy. They can't even fucking restart a lawnmower. But this is where we are. And then there's some sanity. It is nonsense. Energy expert says the heatwave excuse for stage 6 load shedding is unacceptable. Engineer Mthunzi Letuli said blaming the warm weather which South Africa has historically experienced does not make sense. And I'm with him. But the question is, why is the public still falling for this? And then here's a little bit of a disturbing piece of news. Eskom welcomes the World Bank's consent for legal separation of the transmission division. Now, I have spoken about this at length. Here you have it. They're chunking the grid out of Eskom. And then we go to the EU, and I'm just going to read the headline to you. Tire giant closes German plants. Imagine that, Michelin tires closing their plants in Germany. I cannot understand that the German people allowed those cretins sitting there in Brussels to destroy their economy. But I listened this morning to another debate. Project Ukraine is just going one way, and that is into the toilet. And they're now trying to spin it all which ways out of that shit. And they went in there willingly. Israel and the crazy actually took a swallow dive into it. And now it is a problem. And then there's this article, once again, I'm not going to read the whole article, just the headline. Europe would be washed away in a war with Russia. What do you know? They've been warned about it. But Moses 6 verses 6. Stupid people must suffer. But then Moses 6 verses 13. There's a kicker there. It says, fuck around and find out. And the Europeans are finding out. And then we get this. Dutch Parliament votes to opt out of the European Union's asylum and migration policies, following in Denmark's footsteps. Well, Poland and Hungary said no go to that asylum stories. And you know how the EU attacked those two countries. But now it seems to me there's other countries waking up to the reality that their countries are being invaded. And then this is an interesting thing, I have spoken about it previously. Will the UN survive, and what could replace it? Global players may decide that the organization is too Western dominated and look for a new arrangement in the 21st century. The UN is in danger of becoming less effective than it was a few decades ago because of its significant Western bias. That is the reality. And I have said that I've got a funny feeling that between Putin and Xi Jinping, they are setting BRICS up to be much more than a trade bloc. And then I have to share this. He asked this girl, are you Hindu, Christian, or Muslim? She answered, I am hungry. Let that sink in, because that is the reality. And this one is a Kinshal missile into the hearts of these green fanatics. Imagine a machine that uses solar energy to remove carbon from the air and turns it into a beautiful, strong and sustainable building material. Oh wait, that's what trees do. Let that sink in properly. And then I saw this, and this is quite interesting. In order to be born, you needed 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second grandparents, and it goes down to, by the 9th generation, you are the offspring of 2,048 people. Let that sink in. For you to be born today from 12 previous generations, you needed a total of 4,094 ancestors over the last 400 years. How's that? 4,094 ancestors. I think sometimes we don't really pay attention. And then there we get to the memes. And this meme is my motto. All you can do is warn them, wake up. If they won't listen, then move on and warn others. And that is exactly how I see it. And then we've got this one. No matter how big a hammer you use, you cannot pound common sense into stupid people. Well, we see that in practice here in South Africa. And then this one says us a lot. Just look at the image, let it sink in. I feel exactly like that. And then we get to this one, and this one is one that you have to think about a bit. When someone shows us their true colors, we have to stop trying to repaint them. Now that is valuable advice. And then we get to this one. And for those that don't know, one of the main reasons why the previous Polish government was so vehemently against Russia is because the brother of one of those leaders were killed in this plane crash. And they try forever to blame the Russians for it. And I read a report written by investigators about that crash at Smolensk in 2010. And it clearly indicated that the Russian flight control towers warned that flight 3 times that the weather is too bad, they must return and go back to where they come from. The weather is too bad. And they've got it on the voice recorders where someone, a politician, instructed the pilots to push on, and they tried to get below the cloud cover, and the end was this crash. But that Polish government, they tried to pin it on the Russians, and it was part and parcel of their motivation to be so aggressive towards Russia. Now there's a new government in Poland, and they have decided Poland will no longer blame Russia for the fatal 2010 Smolensk region plane crash that killed 96 people, including the Republic's president at the time, Lech Kaczynski, Warsaw Internal Ministry said. They've now said, that's it. Stop trying to spin this to get the blame on the Russians. It was an accident. Well, maybe sanity walked back into the room, here and there. And then we get to the racial issues. Levi tweeted, imagine being the majority, being in government, controlling all branches of that government, having affirmative action laws and speech laws that are supposed to benefit you, and still behaving like you're part of an oppressed little weak minority. Give me a break. But the rest of the world is waking up to this bullshit. And then we get this. Listen to this. Black man's failure. They always flock to where the white man creates prosperity, and when they want it without working for it. Look at colonial Africa. Prosper and development until they forced the whites out of the country. Then it turned into shitholes that not even their own people want. A lot of truth in that. And more from Levi. You can't build a country filled with a bunch of people always wanting the result, an easy way out, but unwilling to go through the pain and effort to achieve these same results. Entitlement has never led someone anywhere. And that is so true. And then there's some Russophobia for you. Stripped of citizenship for refusing to denounce Russia. Figure skater Margarita has been stripped of her nationality by the Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda. She previously refused to betray Russia and her friends in order to maintain Lithuanian citizenship. But I have read another article, she has now moved to Russia. I'm sorry, those guys there in the Baltics, Well, now that things are going really wrong in Ukraine, they're beginning to get fucking nervous because they were very, very vocal about Russia and they did horrendous things. Destroyed so many Russian statues and gardens of remembrance and cemeteries. And now it looks like they'll have to face Russia because the Americans cannot. And then we get this, I'm not going to dwell on it, it's been on the news already. 26 injured after Ukrainian MP detonates grenade at the community meeting. What is important here is this is the west of Ukraine, and that's the nest of that Nazis, and it seems to me like it's now dog eat dog there. And then we get this one, and I just had to smile. All of us must remember how this same cretin, yes, I call him a cretin, Lindsey Graham, how he stood in Kiev laughing as he said, at least you're killing Russians, and for us that is the best investment that we've ever made. And now listen to his shit. Warmonger Lindsey Graham does 180 and now claims he is America first and wants to secure the border. I'm not helping Ukraine until we help ourselves first. Compare this to Graham 6 months ago in Kiev, salivating over dead Russians. It's over. Well, you ask my opinion, this guy is shit scared of Trump taking the seat next year. Now he's changing his tune. But that's how these politicians work. Fucking things don't have any morality. And then this is just a warning to South Africans. Remember this when they come for you. You are being groomed right now to normalize your living in your cage for your own good. You are warned. And this is the DA. Solidly in the bag with XXX and Cyril too. And then there was this, and I'm going to share it with you. It says, Vukadaki, before it's too late. These people are not your friends. They fund the ANC. They will be untouchable very soon. They have guns to kill us in our own land. They have a long-term plan to take over our local economy, Ikazi, and our towns. The future of our children is in danger if we allow these rebels to multiply in our communities. They control local authorities, police and home affairs with heavy bribes. They take millions of rands out of our community without paying taxes. They want to control what we eat. They want to control the hardware industry in Ikazi. They are taking over our ideas and destroying what we started for ourselves. E.g. quotas and chips. Well, looks like the black people are beginning to wake up. I'm just afraid it's going to take a hell of a lot more effort than tweeting about it. And then this disturbing reality. Our population is 62 million. People on grants, 27 million. Taxpayers, 7 million. Let that sink in and ask yourself, how the hell is that sustainable? And then we have Vusi Sambo. My broadband tweeted, Starlink is illegal in South Africa. ICASA has warned the South African public against buying Starlink. And Vusi Sambo says, the other snag for the SpaceX-owned Starlink internet services to launch in South Africa is that ICASA pointed out in 2021 that Elon Musk must give the cadres no less than 30% cut in BEE equity to comply with telecoms empowerment regulations and an additional 30% as ownership equity for historically disadvantaged groups, which include black people, women, people with disabilities, and youth. We are therefore robbed of affordable, uncapped, high-speed, low-latency internet to the most remote locations as a result. And we all know, Musk took one look at that papers and said, goodbye, I'm out of here. But this is what the black majority has brought onto all of us. And then something for the boozers. Russian brewer to enter the South African market. Major Russian brewery, Baltika, is planning to set South Africa as a logistics hub to supply beer to other African markets, according to the company's head of overseas sales. Baltika already exports to more than 40 countries, but not yet South Africa. Well, let's see. The beer drinkers will tell us if it's any good. And then we have this from Levi. While blacks were looting and burning their own community over lack of government assistance, Afrikaners have been building on their own for the same exact motive. Some cultures are better than others. And I have to agree with you. And then finally we get to this one. In 1965, South Africa built hundreds of these electric trains in 1 year. In 2023, just installing a tap is worth a presidential visit. How ridiculous is that? But that's the reality. And now we get to this one, and this is just a little bit of a bragging from me. You've reached 1.5 million views, achieved November 21, 23. I have to brag a bit. And I want to say thank you to those of you that support me. Without you, this can't be possible. And now is that moment that we get to the back page. And this is not for the prudes. When the music starts, close your eyes, and when the music stops, open your eyes. To the rest of the manna, enjoy. Well, what can I say? Mooi bly darem maar mooi. And on that note, I want to thank you for the support. And I just want to mention it again. I usually put the links to how you can support the channel financially in a pinned comment when I launch the videos. But 2 days ago, when I hit that pin instruction button, YouTube told me I cannot pin it unless I am biometrically identified. Now I'm still thinking whether I'm going to go that route. Meantime, all the information is in the description of the video. Thank you for your support. Have a great Sunday and enjoy it. And try and relax. But never forget, you cannot trade off your integrity. Don't forget that. Because once you've lost your integrity, you can never get it back. Have a great day.